Mau Mau, land and freedom.
Mpaka kwa mudhuri, mpaka kwa kamudhuri.
Kenai nyote ajiali, kenai nyote arakai, kamira noka rabiena mere, tukia soka na duda. Kamira noka rabiena mere, tukia soka na duda. Natuakinyaro komanu,
The Mau Mau Uprising, 1952 to 1956.
Sisikii sauti ya Mau Mau, nataka kusikia hiyo mpaka hiyo kifungo ilishe. Mpaka tupate kamudhuri.
The Kitui Central Association, Kenya's largest ethnic group at 8.5 million persons. Today's podcast will recite the horrors of British colonial rule.
Wapi kamudhuri? We were waiting for the kamudhuri. We wanted to use the gun. Mpaka tupate kamudhuri, si ndio?
natobe Kenya waikamba kamudhuri kakiuga nega kuambu jambo wakiuga kaeko kaulia kaina nyena jirongi wakiuga kaeko kaulia kaina nyena jirongi natobe Kenya madioya
Sons and daughters and widows of Mau Mau, forgive but never forget. Population growth anticipated from 47 million today to more than 100 million by 2050. The future is bright for Kenya. The Motivator Show. The internet's most inspirational podcast. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. It's free. Press the like button and don't forget to leave a Follow us on Facebook. Give us the thumbs up and share with your family and friends.
Oh, thank you, Your Excellency.
We are also on Instagram and TikTok. Follow us there too. The Motivator Show. Translate our words into action. Success is ours for the taking. Mau Mau, land and freedom.
Mpaka kwa mudhuri, mpaka kwa kamudhuri.
Kenai nyote ajiali, kenai nyote arakai, kamira noka rabiena mere, tukia soka na duda. Kamira noka rabiena mere, tukia soka na duda. Natuakinyaro komanu.
Mama Uprising, 1952 to 1956.
Sisikii sauti ya Maumau, nataka kusikia hiyo mpaka hiyo kifungo iishe, mpaka tupate Kamudhuri.
The Kikuyu Central Association, Kenya's largest ethnic group at 8.5 million persons. Today's podcast will recite the horrors of British colonial rule.
Wapi Kamudhuri? We were waiting for the Kamudhuri. We wanted to use the gun. Mpaka tupate Kamudhuri, si ndio?
Sons and daughters and widows of Mama, forgive but never forget. Population growth anticipated from 47 million today to more than 100 million by 2050. The future is bright for Kenya. The Motivator Show. The internet's most inspirational podcast. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. It's free. Press the like button and don't forget to leave a Follow us on Facebook. Give us the thumbs up and share with your family and friends.
Oh, thank you, Your Excellency.
We are also on Instagram and TikTok. Follow us there too. The Motivator Show translates our words into action. Success is ours for the taking. Mau Mau, land and freedom.
Mpaka Kamudhuri, mpaka kwa Kamudhuri.
The Mama Uprising, 1952 to 1956.
Sisikii sauti ya Maumau, nataka kusikia hiyo mpaka hiyo kifungo iishe, mpaka tupate Kamudhuri.
The Kikuyu Central Association, Kenya's largest ethnic group at 8.5 million persons. Today's podcast will recite the horrors of British colonial rule.
Wapi Kamuduri? We were waiting for the Kamuduri. We wanted to use the gun. Mpaka tupate Kamuduri, sindio?
Natobe Kenya waikamba Kamuduri Kakiuga nega kulambu Jeno wakiuga Kaeko kaudia Kayina nyena jirongi Kasau wakiuga Kaeko kaudia Kayina nyena jirongi Natobe Kenya madioya
Sons and daughters and widows of Mama, forgive, but never forget. Population growth anticipated from 47 million today to more than 100 million by 2050. The future is bright for Kenya. The Motivator Show. The internet's most inspirational podcast. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. It's free. Press the like button and don't forget to leave a comment. Follow us on Facebook. Give us the thumbs up and share with your family and friends.
Oh, thank you, Your Excellency.
We are also on Instagram and TikTok. Follow us there too. The Motivator Show translates our words into action. Success is ours for the taking. Mau Mau, land and freedom.
Mpaka Kamuduri, mpaka kwa Kamuduri.
Kenai nyuothe ajiari Kenai nyuothe aratai Kamira noka Rabie na mbere Tutira soka na duda Kamira noka Rabie na mbere Tutira soka na duda Natwa kinyaro kowanu
The Mau Uprising, 1952 to 1956.
Sisikii sauti ya Mau Mau, nataka kusikia hiyo mpaka hiyo kifungo ilishe. Mpaka tupate Kamuduri.
The Kikuyu Central Association, Kenya's largest ethnic group at 8.5 million persons. Today's podcast will recite the horrors of British colonial rule.
Wapi Kamuduri? We were waiting for the Kamuduri. We wanted to use the gun. Mpaka tupate Kamuduri, sindio?
Natobe Kenya waikamba Kamuduri Kakiuga nega kulambu Jeno wakiuga Kaeko kaudia Kayina nyena jirongi Kasau wakiuga Kaeko kaudia Kayina nyena jirongi Natobe Kenya madioya
daughters and widows of Mama. Forgive, but never forget. Population growth anticipated from 47 million today to more than 100 million by 2050. The future is bright for Kenya. The Motivator Show. The internet's most inspirational podcast. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. It's free. Press the like button and don't forget to leave a Follow us on Facebook. Give us the thumbs up and share with your family and friends.
Oh, thank you, Your Excellency.
We are also on Instagram and TikTok. Follow us there too. The Motivator Show translates our words into action. Success is ours for the taking. Mau Mau, land and freedom.
Mpaka kwa mudhuri, mpaka kwa kamudhuri.
The Mama Uprising, 1952 to 1956.
Sisikii sauti ya Maumau, nataka kusikia hiyo mpaka hiyo kifungo ilishe. Mpaka tupate kamudhuri.
The Kikuyu Central Association, Kenya's largest ethnic group at 8.5 million persons. Today's podcast will recite the horrors of British colonial rule.
Wapi kamudhuri? We were waiting for the kamudhuri. We wanted to use the gun. Mpaka tupate kamudhuri, sindio?
Sons and daughters and widows of Mama, forgive, but never forget. Population growth anticipated from 47 million today to more than 100 million by 2050. The future is bright for Kenya. The Motivator Show. The internet's most inspirational podcast. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. It's free. Press the like button and don't forget to leave a comment. Follow us on Facebook. Give us the thumbs up and share with your family and friends.
Oh, thank you, Your Excellency.
We are also on Instagram and TikTok. Follow us there too.
All right. All right. How are you feeling, people? How are you feeling? Let me just make a slight adjustment to my screen here. Here we go. All right. Okay. All right. Here we go. There we go. Ah. This is the Motivator Show. This is where we translate our words into action, and where success is ours for the taking. Yes, success is ours for the taking. How are you feeling? I'm feeling great. In fact, I'm feeling fantastic. Oh gosh, what is life? What a wonderful experience is life. All right, let's get a show on the road. Oh, now then, people, this is going to be an informative, empowering, inspiring show today. We've got some wonderful guests who will join us later on from that wonderful country called Kenya. Watch and listen to his space. But before that, a few announcements and a few important descriptions to share with you. But before I begin any of that, I want to applaud. You recall the show of 2 Strongs ago on the Windrush so-called compensation scheme. And those of the Windrush generation from the Caribbean and Africa who's falling foul of this government's so-called hostile environment. In other words, victimization of the highest order. Yeah, I paused there. I wanted to sink in. But this show contributed to a success. You recall Mr. Thompson, who was stranded in Jamaica, unable to return to the UK. And the wonderful lawyers were taking this case to judicial review. But they needed to raise £10,000, just a modest sum. They raised £10,000. Yes. Well done to all involved, to all those of you who contributed. Well done. Yeah, a family that stays together, grows together. Unity is strength. Yeah, unity is strength. So that case will go to judicial review. So now we await the outcome. Yeah? Now we await the outcome. So well done to all of you involved. I did want to remind you that there were some interesting legal beagles who I will talk to during the week. I'm not going to call their name for now. I'm going to get them back in. Where we have success, we must spread the word, make it infectious. Yeah. Spread the word, make it empowering experience. Spread the word. You made our community confidence. Warrior, that's what I call marksmanship. So well done. Judicial review. We're fighting back. Judicial review. oversight of the child within the British NHS National Health Service. Like many thousands of our mothers, who experience in childbirth and early childhood experience, an experience you will not wish on your enemies at the hands of trained clinicians. I pause there again, but I know that this has affected many, many mothers and fathers. And we demand improvement in maternity services across Britain. And there should be no discrimination on account of your ethnicity. A clinician, a healthcare worker, a nurse who's trained to manage pregnancies and ensure the mother has a positive experience, it's an incumbent on such persons to be held account where that experience is less than satisfactory. So the Southwark Maternity Commission, which has been called for by peoples of conscience, it doesn't require you to be of African or Caribbean heritage, or indeed black heritage. It just needs you to be a human being with a conscience, with empathy, that we collectively must do better as a society in relation to maternity care. We will report on the progress of this commission, but those of you who live in the London Borough of Southwark or have been in a hospital connected with the London Borough of Southwark, or have an experience you want to share with the commission. You may not have lived in the borough, but you want to share the experience. I urge you to make contact with the commission. We will, as each of the in-person meetings occur, we will promote those in-person meetings here on the Motivator Show. The next one is scheduled is for the 14th of March, and that will be specifically hearing from healthcare professionals, doctors, nurses, and others. But those of you who want to make contact with the Commission right now and contribute to the feedback and surveys that they're carrying out, so it's a very easy website address. It's www.southwark.gov.uk/maternity-commission. You can contact the Commission on 0207 525 1784, or indeed you can email maternity-commission@southwark.gov.uk. Share your experience of maternity care in a Southwark healthcare setting. But you can, even if you're not in Southwark, contribute. Just to ensure they know that you're not from Southwark, but it provides further context. The Commission in particular wants to hear from people of Black or African heritage, Asian heritage, or from other ethnic minority backgrounds, or indeed white people, particularly white people on lower incomes. There could be a class issue here. Asylum seekers or refugees living in Southwark, or those living with long-term conditions, or indeed are disabled. We want to hear from you. This is an important commission in the life and times of Great Britain PLC. Oh yeah, may happen when the unity is strength. Please do not hold back. Do not hold back. Do not suffer in silence. I cannot emphasize that enough. Well done to Councillor Evelyn Koto. Well done. We'll continue to monitor this commission. I also, of course, want to give applaud for what has been an exciting year so far. There's some high quality guests. These are ordinary people, just ordinary people like you and I. But I've taken the step forward for improvement, towards improvement in our physical, psychological, and spiritual condition. And have not succumbed to the negative propaganda that implies that this is all it is. Because we will make it a better place, a better society for ourselves and our children, and indeed our children's children. Be assured, success is ours for the taking. You see it on the screen. Success is ours for the taking. Yes, yes, yes. Affirmation, affirmation. I'm now going to go on to the lifestyle messages, the all-important lifestyle messages. Why are they important? Because they address a fundamental part of who we are, our physical health, indeed our mental health, and indeed our spiritual health. Too often, far too many of our communities are not taking care of themselves. And what we have to do as a community is really consider how we support those who are not taking care of themselves. Okay. But are you taking care of yourself? Now that is the question. That is the question. Here, we're here to give advice and guidance, but it's never a supplement for direct professional advice from your doctor, your nutritionist, those who you involve in training. It's not a supplement, but this is but an advice and general guidance. But take note, heed these words. Heed these words. So let me bring this into the screen. Let's bring it into the screen now. Here we go. There we are. Got it to the screen. There you go. I ask you to consider the amount of sugar and salt that you consume each day. Yeah. There is a direct causal link with the overconsumption of sugar and the levels of diabetes in particularly the African communities, whether the continental, Caribbean, or the Americas. Yeah, yeah. There is a direct causal link. Yeah, the overconsumption of sugar and the inability of our bodies then to process that sugar as a result of the pancreas not secreting sufficient insulin to cope with the enormous amount of sugar that is present in our diet. So I ask you to consider the amount of sugar that you consume each day. In my case, I no longer buy sugar from the grocery store. I equally ask you to consider the amount of salt that you consume each day. Well, this is one of those ingredients we add to the food and supposedly to enhance the flavor. But unfortunately, it's the overconsumption which is the problem. I know it's difficult to find a balance. I no longer add sugar because I find there's more than enough salt in the general food that I consume. Okay. But the real challenge here is the levels of hypertension or high blood pressure, where there's a direct causal link between the overconsumption of salt and levels of high blood pressure in our communities. And as a result, in every other family in our communities, a member of that family will either have diabetes or high blood pressure, and now on medication to manage those conditions. I ask you to consider the amount of sugar and salt that you consume each day. I know it's difficult to change habits formed as a child. Yeah, and so therefore parents need to think carefully of the amount of of sweets that they give to a child, the cakes you allow a child to eat, the amount of biscuits you allow that child to consume. Yeah. Equally, we ask you to consider the amount of carbohydrates that you consume. Carbohydrates primarily derived from wheat-based products and some vegetables, root vegetables, such as potatoes and yams. Again, it's not the consumption is not the problem, it's the overconsumption. It is the overconsumption. The experts tell us we should consume no more than a fistful of food per day. Per sitting, right? Per day might be difficult, but per sitting is correct. There you are, a fistful of food per sitting. The challenge is that we overeat, and most certainly we have a tendency to overconsume carbohydrate, which we store in our bodies, and I'll get to as to the effect of our bodies in a moment. But I ask you to consider the amount of carbohydrates that you consume each day. But I understand the challenges that presents for you. Don't worry, I get it, because I've been there and I have done it. I equally ask you to consider the amount of fat that we consume each day. And again, fat is one of those sometimes invisible parts of our diet that's just present, particularly in meat or indeed dairy product, which is almost exclusively fat, bovine fat, cow fat. But here on the screen, you can see raw meat. You can see the meat, and it's not difficult to determine where is the fat. The fat is the white streaks in the meat. You can see this. This is lamb as it happens. Yeah, you can see the fat. And of course, the overconsumption of fat has a direct link to our physical appearances. Yeah? And I say to you, because you can often feel it as your weight is increasing, you can feel the effect of consuming fat in vast quantities. They have a direct link on your physical appearance. I ask you to consider the amount of fat that you are consuming each day. I equally ask you to consider another ingredient which will appear on screen in a moment. Okay? But here you are, a further example of the impact of the overconsumption of particular types of foods and what it does to our bodies on the insides. Yep. What it does to our bodies on the insides. And here is the example of it. You see an artery which is partially blocked. The reason for that partially blocked artery is the accumulation of fat, carbohydrates, and other materials, partially blocking our arteries. And you can see the blood having to go through the constricted space. A direct causal link with this physical appearance and, of course, hypertension, high blood pressure. The heart has to push with even greater vigor in order to get blood throughout your body. Yeah, direct causal link. You can see it now on the screen. Restricted blood flows and the impact it has on your bodies. And now I want to go to the last ingredient in our cuisine, which is starch. Again, starch often found in rice and other materials that we eat every day. But rice, I want to just focus on the rice for the moment. Yes, rice. Look, if you're from the Caribbean and Jamaicans, I hear the rice and peas. Yes, I can hear Jamaicans shouting. If you're particularly from West Africa, I get it. You have the jollof rice, I get it. You like it, we like it. It's the overconsumption which is the challenge. It is the overconsumption. So I ask you to consider the amount of starch that you consume each day. You see the starch embedded in the cakes, in the biscuits, all these wonderful floury things we love to give to children on their birthdays or special occasions, so called. But what we're doing is storing up trouble for them in their later lives. This is the direct causal link. I will come on to it right now. But if you haven't heard these words before, I ask you to ask questions of your doctors, your nutritionists, who have access to your medical records, and let them give you the first-hand account. Because there's a direct causal link with the overconsumption of the sugars, the salt, the carbohydrates, the fats, and the starch to what you now see on the screen. The other impact, which is overweightness or indeed obesity. You can see the lady and gentleman on the screen with the bloated shoulders, the bloated chest, the bloated abdomens, the bloated thighs, and the bloated buttocks or bottoms in polite company. Yeah, that is the direct causal link. And those of you who are overweight, I know up to 80%, particularly of our women in our community, are overweight. Yeah, this is the appearance, stirring up problems, both in childbirth in particular, and general health most certainly. We together can do better, and we must support each other in managing our health and well-being. You can see the impact on screen. You can see the impact on screen. The experts recommend that we should consume far more fruits and vegetables. You can see on the screen now, you see the melons, you see the Noriega, you see the grapes and the avocados, you see the cabbage and the beetroot, you see the onions and the pears, you see the banana and the lemons. Yep, you see the wealth of beautiful food. Yeah, you see the celery. Yep, you see the cucumber. Yeah, you see the apples. Yep, you can see the wonderful food. See the tomatoes. Yep, you see the celeries. You can see this is the food our bodies crave. With this, it can create plasma, blood, flesh, enhance our thinking process. Yep, this is what our bodies crave. This is the food of life. Yeah, this is the food of life. You see the oranges, you see the tomatoes, yeah? You see the garlic there, yeah? This is the food our bodies crave. See the almonds, yeah? You see the celeries, yeah? You can see the cacao, you can see the beautiful food. This is what our bodies crave. Give our bodies what it craves. It's telling you every day what it needs. Equally, our bodies need water. We're more than 70% water. We are more than 70% water. The experts recommend we should consume between 2 to 3 litres of water per day. The foods I've just described all contain ample amounts of water. I strongly recommend you ensure you drink the appropriate amount of water each day. See the lady and gentleman on the screen drinking their water. I cannot understate how important it is. I cannot understate how important it is. Now, of course, having ensured you understand what you should eat, yeah, and drink appropriately, it is critical, I underscore again, it is critical that you exercise. Moderate to vigorous exercise, whatever is your level. You see the lady with her weights. Oh, it's my weights. With the weights up and down, pumping your muscles. Yep, this is what I do, 200 to 300 of these every day. Pumping my muscles, ensure they maintain vigor. Yep, that's what our bodies crave. If they crave to be worked. You see the gentleman, yeah, with his headphones in, running. He's running for his life, because health is his life. Yeah. You see the young lady here running up and down the stairs, a critical part of exercising all of our bodies. You see the young man with his bulging muscles, he says, doing his press-ups, an important part of who we are as human beings. That is to ensure that we are more than able to take care of ourselves. Exercise is a vital part of our general health and well-being regime. Exercise is important. As I said at the beginning of this, it's equally important to take care of your mental and spiritual health. It is so absolutely important. So I urge you, wherever possible, you have doubts, to seek out professional advice or speak to whoever you most trust. I'm going to trust that such a person cares for you and give you the support, or indeed, not only the support, the ability to seek out those professional advice, hold your hand, hug you, take you to the professional advice. And of course, our spiritual health is a vital part of who we are as human beings. It is critical that you speak to your spiritual advisors or find peace within yourself so that you can enhance who you are as a human being. There you go. This is the messages, the lifestyle messages. And I know it's had an impact of hundreds, if not thousands of people across Britain, across Europe, the Caribbean, Africa, and beyond. Please translate these words into action, because success is ours for the taking. And you all understand this, I know you understand this, because many of you have been watching and listening to these podcasts every strong, and you've incorporated those words as part of your consciousness. But of course, translating words into action is a next step, I argue, is the next step. Why is it so important? Because to do these actions together, what you're doing is feeding off other people's enthusiasm to take care of themselves. But there are groups of Africans right across Britain who are coming together in common aim and common purpose. And such peoples have demonstrated to me that these messages are important. One such group of Africans, and I say Africans deliberately, they're not just Yoruba from Nigeria, or Ashanti from Ghana, They're not just people from Gambia, or Sierra Leone, These are people from right across the continent, coming together in common aim and common purpose. Right across the Caribbean, coming together in common aim and common purpose, working together, pooling their resources because their health matters to them. It doesn't matter where our brothers and sisters, our elders come from, because we all share a same culture, the same history. Coming together in common aim and common purpose is important. And one such group of multi-ethnic Africans have come together in common aim, in common purpose. So I'm proud to display to you today. I've called themselves the Countdown Organization. Multi-African ethnic. From right across the continent, the Caribbean, here in Britain, come together in common aim. I'm going to give a big shout out to them. Let's play this video. Watch them exercise together. Here we go. Oh, I've got the wrong one up. Oh, just get, shall I? Let's get rid of that one. Let me get rid of that. Oh, that was a good entry, wasn't it? There we go. We've got the right one up now. Here we go.
Cheese. Famous. Hello.
get one life on leave. Me self get one life on leave. Why we no go use am gladdy and enjoy the time? Palava no dey finish. Time me no dey wait nobody. Now why I dey try for always get am nice every day and night? This one way we all fend we safe, now nobody own. You wanna eat with you must we go down you belly now you young. And the balance where you go die left now all the money young. So why for the greedy you say for? Now the motor car where you let buy am. If you see finance where you collect bill am oh. You meet up woman where you let yanam. And if you let the man na for keep am. Want them oh. The food where you feel for eat na for eat am. That fine la pound where you let na for buy am. And tie am oh. And if you baby love you back love am. But if you love them all now you na for left am. Want them oh. Cause nobody know wetin tomorrow hold. So every day of my life till old, I fasting enjoyment stay go. Now for land for care for yourself. Nobody love you pass you yourself. All man they fed for himself oh. Now why I know they allowed with the other man they pan take me peace away. Me joy away. Me smile away. Oh no make nobody take you peace away. Me joy away. Me smile away. Oh no. Every day. I see they hustle, they work for the pay. They like na boku on a small you the cage. Land for the loose body 110. No to money, no to gently. No money make motor man and brother. As long as you get waiting, you they eat. Land for the loose body 110. This one way we all fend we safe, now nobody own. You wanna eat with you must we go down you belly now you young. And the balance where you go die left now all the money young. So why for the greedy you say for? Now the motor car where you let buy am. If you see finance where you collect bill am oh. You meet up woman where you let yanam. And if you let the man na for keep am. Want them oh. The food where you feel for eat na for eat am. That fine la pound where you let na for buy am. And tie am oh. And if you baby love you back love am. But if you love them all now you na for left am. Want them oh. Cause nobody know wetin tomorrow hold. So every day of my life till old, I fasting enjoyment stay go. Now for land for care for yourself. Nobody love you pass you yourself. All man they fed for himself oh. Now why I know they allowed with the other man they pan take me peace away. Me joy away. Me smile away. Oh no make nobody take you peace away. Me joy away. Me smile away. Oh no
Wasn't that fantastic? An example of collective work and responsibility. Yeah? You understand that? Collective work and responsibility. Understanding working together with a common aim and common purpose. In this case, to enhance our physical health. Pooling the resources to exercise together is a common purpose. In other words, it has the ability to transcend those artificial barriers of ethnicity and gender, religious affiliation and economic status, because our physical health is one of our true wealths. You understand that? It's so important. We understand we've got to work together. A family that stays together grows together. Okay. Wonderful. Well done, the countdown. Those of you involved in countdown. In fact, Today, they're going to hold their annual come together where they're going to give testimony. Yeah, they can be recorded. I hopefully will join them later today. They will give testimony on what they've experienced this past 12 months. And they can share that testimony amongst themselves to further encourage themselves to continue to exercise, maintain a good health, physical health, and indeed promote good mental and spiritual health as well. To encourage each other and thereby leave the room and infect others with the positive ideas that working together can have positive outcomes. Working together can have positive outcomes. Will have positive outcomes. I've got to say with a certain emphasis, will have positive outcomes. Well, now then, the question for you is how we progress, how to communicate, because this is going to be, I say, an exciting, inspirational podcast today. Okay, but before I would get onto that, I would just remind you how this podcast can be heard and seen across the internet. We put it up on the screen, shall I? We put it up on the screen. So this podcast can be heard through the following channels. Many of you are now on YouTube, of course, on the Demotivated Show, and I urge you to give us a like, a thumbs up, or make a comment before you leave YouTube today. Just leave a comment, and that tells the algorithm that there's real interest in this show, and the algorithm will put it in the millions of other YouTubers' channels so they will see this show. We're also transmitting live via Facebook, again, under the Motivated Show. I urge you, if you haven't logged onto our Facebook page, please do so. It's a wealth of information. And of course, we also can be heard via galaxyafui.net. Now, there may be a slight technical problem with galaxyafui.net today, but I believe that problem is being resolved as we speak. Of course, we also go live audio only via Mixcloud. If you have any problem with Galaxy, via Mixcloud on the Demotivated Show. And of course, we also go out live via Instagram on the Demotivated Show. There's an underscore between the words. And of course, you'll see excerpts across TikTok. Please share with your friends and family, your networks. Okay. So those are the many platforms this show is being transmitted on. Okay. Please give us the support we need, and we'll continue to grow the message. We will continue to grow the message. I also, before I go back to my interview, I want to just give a big shout out to our friends from Ninas. Okay, now let me put it on the screen. There you are. Those of you who were stimulated by our Ninas Was Right show only a few songs ago, okay, and want to make contact with Ninas, that organization that seeks to a reform to the Nigerian constitution so it can better represent the peoples of Nigeria. Establish a new relationship between the many peoples of Nigeria. I positively encourage you to get involved. And their website address is ninasvoice.org, ninasvoice.org. Or you can send an email at info@ninasvoice.org. And you can see on the screen, you can also phone them directly. It's the usual international code, plus 234 906 472 0016. I positively encourage you to get involved. It's a truly positive organization. All righty. Okay, we're nearly at that time. I'm not sure. I've got one of my guests, not my second guest. I'm wondering if we just check where my second guest might be. My guest who's in the waiting room might just want to check where the second guest might be. Then we'll get the show on the way. I think what I'll do just before bringing in my guest right now, I just also want to give a further announcement. Okay, further announcement. and I would just want to recall there we go. This one, not this one. Let's do the other one, shall we? I'm going to give note to the Entrepreneurs Business Masterclass. And those of you who recall Dr. Carlton Brown is offering masterclass now to grow your business. Okay, this is an extremely important occasion. There is a series of roadshows across Britain, be in London on the 3rd of May, in Bristol on the 19th of April, in Birmingham on the 18th of April, and Manchester on the 10th of April. You can see on the screen. Go to Eventbrite, Entrepreneurs Conference Business Masterclass 2024, and it's only £49. I can assure you that is a minuscule fee for what you will gain. I commend the Business Masterclass 2024 to you. I recommend it to you. There you are. Go to Eventbrite, you get more information. Okay, I think I'm going to now bring my guest in. Hopefully the other guest will join us momentarily. And let's see. Are we ready, my guest in the chat room? I'm going to bring you in now. Let's bring him in. Let's see if it works. Any problem? In fact, let's do the other way around, shall we? There you go. Comrade Big Ben, can you hear us all right?
Yes, comrade, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yeah, good. Just making sure. Keep talking. You're speaking. You've got a very soft voice today.
That's wonderful. Yeah, I'm great. I'm happy to be here today.
Good.
At last, at least we do this.
Thank you. And our other guest. Are you aware? Is she trying to get in? Do you know?
Yes, she's trying to get in. That's the confirmation I got from her. I called her some few minutes ago.
Okay.
And she's trying to be in.
All right. If she's having any problem, we can assist her, of course. But we successfully did our trial last night. We just double check if there's another message from her. That's fine. Yeah. Okay. Well, she hasn't sent a message, so I assume she'll be with us momentarily. But, comrade, let's get. I want to start this because there's much I want to get through today, and it's been a fascinating exercise in studying that interesting country called Kenya. I have to say, it has truly been an interesting experience, and one that I want to commend to others here. Okay, I want to commend this experience to you. Why? Because as we learn about the history of Africa, we study the history of Africa, we're studying our own history. I'm going to say that again, because those of you born outside the continent will understand this without a shadow of a doubt. But I'm just also clear that many on the continent are not taught about other peoples across the continent. When you study the history of Africa, you're studying yourself, your family members. And I get it. There is a tendency for the old colonial powers, Britain, France, Germany, Spain, and others, to still dominate the education system. So the consequence, the history that is taught, the culture that is taught, is not your own culture, not your own history. So it is a vital part of who we are as African peoples across the world. It's a vital part of who we are to study one's own history. It may have the label Kenya, it may have the label Zimbabwe, it may have the label Nigeria or Ghana or Jamaica, but it's our history, and it's incumbent upon us to study and to understand. Okay? Because through that appreciation, there are many lessons, great lessons you will acquire in life. Okay? And I cannot understate this for you, because it's been a great privilege for me to do these podcasts and to study my own history. I don't say other people's history, I say my own history, And it truly is a powerful, empowering experience. Anyway, let's begin. Oh, I can see my other guest is here. Let's bring her in, because she was most certainly a truly inspired personality when I spoke to her last night. In fact, I left, and I'm going to reveal something. In fact, I'm going to bring her in first of all. And I'm going to reveal something to you all. Hold on. Let me bring her in. Let's bring her in. Let's see if we can bring her in. We've got her in. Oh, it worked perfectly. It worked perfectly. Wangawa, can you hear us all right, comrade? Can you hear us all right?
Hello.
Good morning. Can you hear us?
Morning to you.
Oh, good. You can hear. Wonderful. How are you? How are you?
I'm fine.
Oh, I'm going to reveal something to the audience. After
Yes.
speaking to you last night,
Yeah.
I've had less than 30 minutes sleep.
Mm-hmm.
Because it was such a powerful experience. It was truly inspirational. Truly inspirational. And the audience, the listeners, are going to share some of your inspiration. But you don't realize it. It was a powerful experience. The knowledge you possess, the wisdom that you display. Oh, it's very rare. It's a very rare quality. I honor you. I honor you. And welcome. And thank you for joining us today.
Thank you.
My pleasure. My pleasure. I want to go straight into this interview because there's much I want to share with the audience, and there's much to learn from you both. Okay?
Thank you.
And I just wanted to start off by asking this initial question. Okay. Can I ask you, please, my comrade Bongoa, just to say a little bit about yourself before I go into the main question? Just say a little bit about yourself so that the audience can get to know you. Just say a little bit about yourself. Who's your greatest influencer, for example?
Yes. Thank you. I greet you all. And thank you for honoring me to have you today to listen to me as I give my views on the way I find our nation and especially the Mau Mau status and discuss with you about the way forward. My name is Wangari Wawashogi, but my official names are Fresia Wangari Muturi. I am a mother of 3 who are grown up. I have a husband, and I am a Mau Mau freedom fighter descendant.
Oh, yes! Yes!
Whom my father, before he died, he never wanted to tell us much about Mau Mau because he was very, very, very bitter of what they went through. So what I later learned is I learned through those cruise elders, and also later on read from books what I never got from them, because they usually used to talk retro and then cry, especially when I remember that there is that area whereby you heard about how freedom fighters fought some white men within Muranga, a very big group, and they were all killed, and their weapons taken by Mau Mau. The land where they were killed is today my father's land.
Wow.
Along the river.
Yes.
And where I today a survivor called Brigadier Jockey, they got the box which had their you call them bullets, to put in their guns. The box, she is still retaining it for history. So, and those people the people who were killed that time, my aunt, one of my aunts, we are the ones who were ferrying those dead bodies from down the valley to up the hill. And those who are for the whites were being ferried in lorries, while those ones for the Africans, because they also had killed some, were taken to a mass grave in a place long from where they were, about 5 kilometers. So you can imagine carrying a dead body to such a place. Yes. And you had come from a valley. They really suffered. Thank you.
Thank you. Already you could hear, audience, the passion, the knowledge, the power of this wonderful, wonderful human being. I'll tell you. 30 minutes sleep. That's all I had after. Comrade Pigman, how are you? Just say a little bit about yourself, just so the audience can get to know you. Just a little bit about yourself. 1 minute, 1 minute. Yeah, go on. Go ahead.
Greetings to you all. It's a pleasure to see Sister Wangari. It's a pleasure to see you, Sister, around.
Thank you.
And it's an honor also to be here with you, brother. Yes, myself, of course, my name is Pidgin Odimwengu. I'm born to the lakesides. Sister Wangari is coming from the mountainside. Myself, I come from the lakesides of the country in a place called Lake Nyanza, but the white man decided to call it Lake Victoria.
Okay.
So I am from that Nilotic community who are believed to having migrated from the Sudan. We are only the available river lake Nilots in this country. Our mode of life is purely fishing. So I was born in a county called Homa Bay County. In of course, more of a peasant family, let me say a poor family a bit, in the villages. Then I actually went to do my early education at the tea farms, multinational tea farms in Bomet County. Bomet County is another county in this country, where Finlay's company and Unilever company, the white companies, are owning acres of lands of tea in Kenya. So that's where my father and my mother were tea pluckers there. So I was raised up in that tea company setup, where I grew up and finally actually did my university education back in the Sister Wangari's region again, somewhere called Embu, which is part of the regions that were also engaged actively in the Mau Mau War. So basically, yes, I am the first boy in my family. I am an interested young politician and an historian who view much of the history of our country and learn much history of our country. And basically, I am overall a progressive Pan-African who think about the continent at all and at large so that we can see what we can do to the unification, liberation, and development of Africa. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Powerful testimony. Powerful. Let me just begin in that case. What is the current status of Mau pioneers and their influence on Kenyan society today? Mongao, can you answer that question for us? Go to you first. Yeah, can you hear my question there? What is the status of Mau pioneers and their influence on Kenyan society as of today?
I'm afraid we can't hear you very well, Martin. Your voice is somewhat frozen, please.
Oh, okay. Is that any better?
Now it's better.
I'm sorry. Right. Okay. I will repeat my question. I'm sorry. Comrade Mongao, what is the current status of Mau pioneers and their influence on Kenyan society as of today? Oh, she can't hear.
Yeah.
Oh, you can. Is it? Can.
I thought you were starting with as a discussion in my initial questions also focus on the Mau Mau freedom fighters as Mau Mau pioneers all. The current status, that's what where you want us to start.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Well, even as much as I would like first of all to talk about the Mau Mau pioneer status, I cannot do without having gone back to how the Mau Mau came about.
Mm-hmm.
Because it did not just start in that time they went to war. It was started in 1918.
Okay.
This is when the movement started. After the First World War, there are those Kikuyu people who were taken by the British to go for the First World War, and in which I can also bring attention to you people that Jomo Kenyatta was part of those who were to go, but he ran away and hid within the Maasai land. This is how when he went there, he, due to the culture of the Maasais and the belts they used to wear, they used to call that belt Kenyatta. But the in written form or pronunciation was not really the Kenyatta today we know, the spelling of Kenya, and added some two T's and A at the end. It was another meaning altogether. So he felt that as one who later learned something, and he had already gone to school in those days, he decided to make it Kenya because the colonialists had changed our name into Kenya, Kenya, and then decided to make it Kenyatta. And he took it to be his name because he didn't like the name he was baptized, because he was baptized against his will. Therefore, having said that, those who went to the First World War, when they came back, that is when they realized and they understood, even from others who had come from different parts of Africa, that the white man interest was to come and then take over their lands and make sure they make them slaves in their own lands. Due to that operation, they decided to start a movement, those who came in Kenya immediately, led by a man who was called Joseph Kang'ethe, who was the president of the group, called KCA, Kikuyu Central Association Movement, together with Jesse Kariuki, whom they used to call him Maidoma Kenya, meaning he knew more, he would detect more things, and he was very wise in his discussion and argument. So he was the one who was supposed to be consulted in most of the matters. And another one called Job Moshoshi, and Boto Waruhara Arias James Buta, who was the second Secretary General of KCA, and who was the first African to know how to do typing. He was working with post office with the colonialists. And the other one was Wanjie, Bildad Kagia, and Petro Kigondu, or Peter Kigondu. The seven were the pioneers of the Mau Mau. They are the ones who started giving odds from the early times, whereby they later appointed Hareduku to be one of their secretaries. And during this time is when Hareduku was also later captured, imprisoned. And before his case was decided, they decided to go, the group of those who had taken the oath, led by a woman called Mary Nyajiro, decided to go and force the white man to release their Secretary General. And that is how they started killing the Kikuyus. The first person to be killed in the fight of their freedom is Mary Nyajiro. Then the movement continued. And Hariduku was later transferred to Kisimayu Islands, today in Somalia. There was no Somalia that time. That land was Kikuyu land, the whole of Somalia. So, and the lower coast region, up to Zanzibar, there was a king called King Mugweru, whose palace is the one today, Shimoratewa prisons along the coast, is the one who was protecting the whole coastal region. Having said that, let me now say that the Mau Mau movement continued, and later in 1928, they invited a guest from America who was also influential in freedom fighting. Forgive me right now, I don't have his name, but he is the one who asked them, because you are now saying you are fighting for the whole of Africa, you need to remove the word Central and make it Africa and add union. And so Kenyatta was the first Secretary General of Kenya African Union, and he was sent to London to pursue for their negotiation, among other leaders from different countries.
There's a lot of information there. There's a lot. Hold on. There's a lot of information. As I warned the audience, you have incredible knowledge, first-hand knowledge of the history of the great land of Kenya. And you've mentioned quite a number of personalities there. And maybe if I maybe just focus on maybe one or two of them that you've mentioned. That I'm going to put on my screen. I'm not sure if you can see my screen. Can you see my screen? I'm going to put on my screen a number of leaders that I researched since speaking to you. As I said, I've had very little sleep. Of course, you've mentioned Jomo Kenyatta, okay? But according to my research, he wasn't considered to be the leader whilst he had significant influence. Would that be right? Who would you consider to be the leader of Mau Mau back at the beginning? Who would you consider to be the original leader?
The leader of the then, when he was General Secretary, was Joseph Kang'ethe.
Joseph Kaderi. Oh, right.
Yes,
okay.
He was a general.
Aha. Yes, I came across that name. I did.
From the First World War, and he was the president of the association.
I came across that name. Thank you. And there was another name that that kept reoccurring. Field Marshal Muthoni. Again.
Muthoni. I have just mentioned the pioneers of the movement from 1918, and those who had gone from the World War I and survived. Yes.
Okay. Yes. Thank you. And
they are the ones who birthed the movement for freedom.
Brilliant. Thank you. Just for a moment, just go to Comrade Pigman. If I may just quickly put you over. You describe yourself as a politician as well as being a Mau Mau supporter.
No, myself, I'm not a politician.
No. I'm speaking to Comrade Pigman.
Pigman. Okay.
This is okay. I know you're not a politician. Don't worry. But I know Comrade Pigman is a aspiring politician. Okay. And I wonder, having studied many of the newcomers, Mau Mau and politics, do they go together? And if they do, why?
Thank you very much. You see, politics control everything.
Indeed.
Economics, social, everything is politics. Even those who say they are not politicians are actually engaging in politics, because politics is exchange of dialogue and discussions, like what you do now. Actually coming from the philosophy aspect, the questioning aspect, what Aristotle and Plato are doing, the questioning of things, that's when the politics start in as a discussion of ideas and things. I want to make it clear also, maybe as a revision, is that Sister Wangari has brought the foundation for the struggle, which later on then changed names as she was describing, started from the Kikuyu Central Association, then changed name to Kenya African Union, and then move actively later at the state of emergency period to be a Mau Mau. Yes. Now Mau Mau, as she's saying, actually is an organization that started with different forms of union, starting from Kenya Central Association, people agitating from the World War I, moving further to the Kenya African Union, as it even moved to KANU, Kenya National Union, but later during the state of emergency, then the Mau Mau came in at the forest. The insurgents into the forest. Now Mau Mau took it like the armed struggle. The rest of the association before were formal association that were engaging in formal dialogue and discussion with government to negotiate for the rights of the people. They were almost diplomatic enough. But when the diplomacy could not bear any fruit, there's a team now decided going to the forest. And that team that went to the forest, the team now they decided to take the armed struggle further from the dialogues that had failed. They decided to go to the armed struggle, and then that formed the now Mau Mau of freedom fighters, which actually, as she said, has come from dialogues of KCA, dialogue of KU, COW moving forward. Now, to answer your question on the relationship, as you say, I'm of course a historian by profession. I'm a teacher of history and Kiswahili, and I'm of course an aspiring politician. The reality of the war across the world, across Africa, and even the intention for slavery and colonization was the land.
Yes.
The land is the primary reality. We call it in our conscience in class, the land is the matter, the primary matter, that then give birth to everything.
Okay.
Industries come from land, money come from land, wealth come from land, everything come from land. Now, the land agitation started when the white men in the early 1900s started to call for their settlers to come to Kenya to settle. There were settlings on somebody's land.
Yes.
It was not their land, it was somebody's land.
Yes.
And therefore, they decided to come with a treaty like the Land Ordinance Agreement of 1905 or 1902, and decided now to legally transfer now land that was belonging to the people to the state. If you read the history of what you call the Papal Bull of 1452 by the Pope Nicholas, or you read the international law on what you call Terras Nullas, which is the no man's land, which was actually coined from the mission of the Dooms Divaces of the Papal Bull Doctrine of 1452, we describe that the missionaries were sent to come to conquer all pagans and sacristans and take away their land. And they say that the land that was not occupied by Christians were to be considered as no man's land, and the state had the power to take over that land. So this is how now the white man, through their British colonial government, whatever colonial East African company, decided now to have initial foundations on how they could take the land from the community to government, so that they could say that there was no title deeds coming in, land title deeds coming in, there was land agreements coming in. So land became the basis of political agitation.
Understood.
Which, when the political agitation that were pursued by the KCA, the Kikuyu Central Association, and Kenya African Union failed in the political realm, then the armed struggle had to come in handy. That's now when the armed struggle for Mau came in. So land is a political issue.
Yes.
And land and politics goes together, because anybody who want to control a country or who want to be a king or a president is a king or a president over a land. And the people come from the land, and if they die, they go back to the same land, the so-called soil.
Can I
So land is,
pause there for a moment? And this is interesting when I looked at this issue of land and its distribution. What I'm going to do, first of all, just bring up on the screen what is a profile. I can bring up on the screen. Here we go. On the screen, I've now put up the various ethnic groups that make up Kenya, and hope you recognize these figures. Okay. So clearly the Kikuyu are the largest, but of course there are over 40 other ethnic groups. But I've just listed those by size. Okay. And I'm trying to understand what I wasn't clear in my research. Is Mau essentially the Kikuyu people, or is it these other people, the Luha, the Kalenjin, the Lao, the Kamba, the Somali, Kisi? Are these also Mau people? Are they part of that struggle? Did you hear my question? Oh.
Hello?
that's a question to me,
Yes.
or to Sister Wanga.
I think I should answer that one.
Oh yes, please go ahead. We'll go.
First, it is good to understand that the one Mau Mau was a nickname.
Uh-huh.
Those who went to war, they were called Kenya Land and Freedom Army.
Mm-hmm.
But in one of their meetings, it happened. It was in Muranga, somewhere not far from Thika town. A certain father knew that there are some people meeting in a certain house, and he went and hid behind the house, and he had them about how they should be united, how they should heed to what the instructions they are given, so that they can defeat these people who are knowledgeable, but they don't know their tricks. So when they were emphasizing, when you say that means that you are emphasizing what I have said. That's what I have said. That was the meaning, or that's what we have agreed. You are emphasizing that nobody should go against what you have agreed. And because they had taken an oath, nobody could go against that. And those who went against that are the ones who joined the Home Guards and they surrendered. Like, for example, Geto Kahengeri.
Right, yes. Interesting. And to be clear then, and if I've understood you correctly, that the other ethnicities, once you entered into agreement with them, were part of that armed struggle for land. Am I right in saying so?
Whom do you mean? Do you refer to?
I'm sorry, get back. This is to you. Comment one else. In describing the other ethnicities, they were an integral part of the this general description, Mau Mau pioneers. They're not simply Kukui. Am I right in saying so? Yes, would that be right?
I said the movement of Land and Freedom Army were Kikuyus only, to be precise, because the rest had compromised through the missionaries to side with the colonialists because of the way they also knew how the Mau Mau people, or because as they were nicknamed as terrorists, and Mau Mau meant also a terroristic group.
I see.
And if you can allow me to refer to a statement, a speech that was read by Henry Kissinger in America when he was addressing some business people. This is what he said. Kikuyu people, 1950, that was 1954, in the minds of the little terrorists, that was September 1954. The Kikuyu people are anarchic and difficult to tame. For this reason, we must strike deep into their cultural roots. Perhaps then we can force them to conform. I mean, of course, to strike their language, their religion, their culture, their historical reserves, so that we can neutralize their ability to develop, to distinguish themselves, or to prevail, thereby moving them as an obstacle to our strategy, vital plans in the Kenya, the East Africa, and the Africa, to all the neutralic territory of great strategic importance for us, for the politics of the USA. So during the time of the Mau Mau War, this was during the time of Mau Mau War, while addressing a group of Washington, D.C. businessmen in September 1954. He had said this because that is what already was the plan, to make sure they make the Mau Mau poor, or the Kikuyus poor, and disown everything of their integrity. And that is why even like now, this one is also repeated. We are having a case right now in Muranga, whereby our Mau Mau elders had gone to do prayers in their shrine, and they were caught in the name of being nicknamed as a terroristic group they used to call them Mogiki. And Mogiki means a group of people in one, and we are having one agenda together. And because they were fighting for their rights, they were called Mogiki. Today it is like a very bad name, but it is not a bad name. It is like calling me my name, even if I'm going to be accused in the court of law, then my name will still stand. So it is not a bad name, only that the interpretation of those who do not know the language, they take it as a bad name. That's all I can say, and that is what now we are going through, because there is a plan to make sure Kenya, which is the heart of Africa, and from where all the top secrets of the British Empire
Yes.
were done in Kenya so that they can be able to control the whole of Africa. That is how they started. That is why they were very keen on controlling the Mau Mau.
Coming now to Comrade Pickford, if I may, then. Okay, Comrade. And just put the same question to you in terms of the ethnic breakdown of the country and the role of Kikuyu people and others. Is that you are, as aspiring politicians, and politicians have got to find bridges between people? The description provided, of course, is quite stark. Is that you understand also?
Okay, thank you. One thing that I have said underscore the war here is the land.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Okay, prior to Mau Mau resistance on the white colonies, the white men came to Kenya before 1900. The Mau Mau war started in 1952,
Yes.
while the political negotiation started in 1918 through the political unions. Now, even initially before the war reached the Kikuyu community, there was a resistance of the white man invasion to Africa and Kenya from the port of Mombasa that was led fiercely with a woman called Mekatilili Wamenza of the Mijikenda community, earlier before even the political organizations. And this was done at the coastal entry of the white men to Kenya, because they entered through the coast. The woman was later on killed. So as they were penetrating, central Kenya, which is the Kikuyu-based community, is at the center of Kenya.
Okay.
But the white men were coming along from the coast, which is Mombasa. So they met the first resistance from the Mijikenda community, led by a woman who led fierce war there. And actually, she resisted,
Right.
just as she was later on killed.
Right.
As they overcome or overpowered Mekatilili Wamenza, they moved inward to a region called Ukambani, where there's another community called Kamba community, who then also resisted fiercely. They were long-distance traders, but they were also subdued.
Mm-hmm.
Then they came to a place called the Maasai land. The area of Nairobi, some were having the Maasai land. If you're coming from Mombasa, which is the coast to central Kenya, Nairobi center, you meet the Maasai land that now occupied the area called Kajiado up to the border of Kenya and the Mount Kilimanjaro, so-called Namanga. The Maasai community also resisted fiercely. And the Maasai community later on were divided, but we remember we are still calling for the head of Koitalel Arab Samoei, which was taken to British Museum. He was a resistant. He was never a collaborator. He was a resistance. So as these people were moving, they never so much considered the central part at first, because they were trying to move the railway line. There were predictions of the train line that they hired the Indian people to construct the railway line so that they could connect to Uganda. So until they connected, they reached the border to Uganda. All along, there was never clear collaboration. It was resistance in the first place. Then once you are overcome, then either you now collaborate after you have been overcome.
Thank you.
Now, in that process is when now they realized there was a land in the center here where it was occupied by the Kikuyu community, the central region, which was very fertile. Now, they wanted to make it the white man's island, as they wanted to make Rhodesian white man island. Because they realized the condition and the climate and the weather of this area was so conducive for the production and everything else. And that is when they now sent away the Mau Mau people. I'll be reading a small record from the CIA agency on 1952, 28 October, when they were giving a report on a staff information memorandum number 280, the situation in Kenya. They said like this: the gravity of the current wave of lawlessness in Kenya is indicated by the dispatch that a colony of a British infantry battalion and air forces and cruisers from the Mediterranean fleet. This action suggests that the colony's own security forces, the police, British officers, and African troop units, and home guards. The home guards here are the loyalist Kikuyu.
Okay, right.
Every community that was subdued or any community that was fought, there were people who collaborated and people became resistant. So a group of, as I've said, even in the areas from the coast to the border of Uganda, after the defeat, there are some people who decided to collaborate.
Okay.
We know even the conquest of many African countries, there are some Africans who collaborated. But they never collaborated directly. Others went directly, but others actually resisted. And then after being overcome, they collaborated. So it's said that the home guard here were totaling to around 2,000 with some 2,000 whites may not be sufficient to cope with the spreading desperation of the native Mau secret society. This is a report sent to CIA in 1952. Now, as it goes along, it says that the area where they were predominantly owned by Kikuyu. It says that in composition, the Mau appears to be the almost wholly drawn from the Kikuyu, one of the largest of the Kenyan tribe, about 1 million strong. The Mau has a large field for expansion, for the Kikuyu have spread from Kenya to Uganda and parts of Tanganyika. There's a strong possibility that in all areas where Kikuyu reside in numbers, the society has cells which are propagating its ideas of power and plenty through what they refer as terrorism. So back to you, is that in this process of the struggles, actually, the central Kenya where the Kikuyu now are was picked because of the fertility of their land, the viability of their land. The land was very viable. And that's why there were negotiations from 1918, when it was political, it was negotiation for land. And that's why this movement was called Kenya Land and Freedom. So what came first was land before freedom. So it was the pursuit of land, and that's why the community of Kikuyu were majorly involved in this struggle, because other communities' land were not taken. They were not that fertile enough, or they were not that viable enough. But the Kikuyu central region, which they wanted to call a White Highland, was actually fertile, and that's why the struggle for land started. And that's when Mau issue was, we want our land and our freedom back, because he who dominates your land takes over your freedom. Freedom is a product of land. If you don't have land, you're not free at all. So that's my aspect in terms of historical writings.
Thank you very much. That was very, very clear. Very, very clear. I want to spend the sort of last 15 minutes or so on looking forward to the future. Okay. So I'm going to go, if I may, to the inspired woman, the comrade Wangai, if I may. This question, when I considered this question last night, I wondered how you're going to respond to this question. So my question to you, my comrade.
Yes.
If you were Prime Minister, what fundamental changes would you make to Kenyan society to prepare it for the future?
Well, having understood that without having leadership in your hands, you have no freedom.
Indeed.
And that is the key area where everybody is controlled. If I were today made a prime minister, this is what I would do. One, I would get our leadership back to our ancestors' way of electing leaders or appointing leaders.
Explain what that means. Explain.
Yes, this means that our original African way of choosing leaders was by appointment, depending on one's character, ability, according to their culture,
yes,
and two, a leader only in the decision making who will be in reference, who without foreign interference, just be whatever you are doing, you are in line with your people, their culture. It is a negotiation. Everything has to go through a negotiation table. Meaning you are not a dictator. You are a servant. You are not even you are not like the way today's political people are. You are just a servant. So a servant is one who has to have a discussion before you come to give your conclusion, whatever you think is best for the people. And without these foreign interferences, whereby today we are not the ones who decides on whom we want, on the way we want to do, because we are not yet independence. We are still at our colonial masters indirect, because the royalists were the ones who were given the independence, especially in Kenya. Today, if you can see the copy of what was given to Kenyatta during 1963, it is called 1963 Kenya Independence 1963 Act. Act is not independence. And therefore, whenever we say we call about Mandaraka Day celebration, that means it is promotion. It is the home guards or the royalists who were promoted to lead the nation, because the Mau Mau who fought for the freedom, they were never given their victory to lead and to decide how their country should be led. Another thing is, when we are choosing having our culture, promoting our culture and spirituality, we will be in a good position to mentor our youth, so that they will not be people who will not have respect to their elders, who will not go against in any kind of leadership to decide on the way they would like to do without consulting their mentors, who are their parents and other people within the community.
Yes. Respect, in other words, they must show respect for the elders and listen and be guided by their wisdom. I understand. And it's interesting how to appoint leaders based upon their character and their skills. In other words, it's on merit rather than on a democracy, which is the
yes. And to add to that,
example. Yes, a third example.
And to add to that, because with today's technology, with their other culture ways of doing things that can be disregarded, and the way in areas they used to give a certain class, you have gone to this level. There are things which today they can be called the past, and they are like they can't be entertained for today in today's present time. These are like the issues to do with the women's circumcision. Others, you have their teeth are fracked out. I think my comrade Pigeon, in their culture, I think they used to remove some teeth, and I don't see him removed. So you can see there are those areas whereby we cannot continue doing or following the culture, but there are very many good things that the culture we followed will make the good foundation of our future generation. As much as we add to our new technology and education.
My comment, a quick question. You mentioned female circumcision.
Yes.
Is that an aspect of the culture you recognise, or is that a practice that was brought into the country?
Now this one should not be recognized, because it was being done, it was a way of indicating or showing one has now left childhood to womanhood, or to a grown-up, a manhood, so that now you are ready for marriage.
I understand you.
And during that time, when you are healing, it's when you are being mentored into marriage.
Okay. I understand. I won't pursue it right now, because it will be a separate show where we look at this practice across the continent and now being practiced among some peoples here, African peoples here in Europe, Caribbean, and the Americans. It's a subject of interest and concern to me, but I won't pursue it because that will create a distraction to our primary cause for this interview. You set out 2 or 3 interesting aspects of how you would change the Kenyan society. You haven't mentioned the other tribes, other ethnic groups, and how they would participate in building a future Kenya, a strong Kenya, one that is culturally strong, economically strong. How did the other tribes, other ethnic groups, in your view, participate in creating that a better future for Kenya?
When I said, and I quoted political leadership and how to appoint the leaders, and how to promote culture and spirituality. This one, it affects all our tribes, because the culture in our country for the tribes within us. Most of them, whatever we as Kikuyus do, is you get it also with the other tribes. And actually, when it comes to culture and traditions and religion, we don't differ much, because we all go to a certain place to seek the Creator's intervention whenever there is a problem.
Indeed.
And there is no tribe that does not seek their Creator's intervention. It only differ the way they do their way, or they operate.
I understand. Thank you for that response. Thank you. Can I now move to Comrade Pigbin and ask you the same question? And as I said, it's interesting to hear your responses. And I'm going to repeat the question. Okay. If you were Prime Minister, what fundamental changes would you make to Kenyan society to prepare it for the future?
Thank you. Thank you for that question. Of course, I'm still also in preview with today I've been doing a lot of the CIA documents, and I'm reading one of their document that was released on 30th May 1972, and they discuss on a key issue called tribe. And tribalism is a big issue, because they're saying this was analysis in 1972 after Kenyatta came from power. He says that a number of factors stand in the way of an orderly transfer of power once Kenyatta departs. Tribalism, the single most important ingredient in Kenyan politics, poses the greatest threat. Most Kenyans live in the rural areas and owe primary allegiance to their tribes. Outsiders are viewed with superstitions. As a result, most Kenyan politicians represent their tribal constituencies and are identified primarily by their tribal affiliations. Recognizing that their tribes provide them with their primary means of political support, Kenyan politicians put the interests of their tribes first. Now, going back to your answering your question, is that we must move beyond Kenya to recognize that we Africans are made up of nations, so-called tribes. And we must find a way on how we Africans can unite our nations called tribes into one. We don't need to unite Kenya and Uganda, because those are imaginary boundaries that were put by the white man. In fact, we are trying to make them physical boundaries by constructing walls in that area. We've moved that psychophancy further by trying now to put a building, a block to block people. You cannot separate people. People are one and Africans are one. You can never separate them based on what. So my clear accurations and my clear understanding will be, let's settle the most primary thing in the divisions of Kenyans or Africans, which is the land. Let's take back land to the people and not to the government. That the government do not have a title deal of your land, that the government can sell for you a land, the government can certify you that you're the rightful owner of a land. Let land belongs to the people, and government is made up of people. So the government don't need to have any right over any land. It's the people who need to have right over their land. And this is what brought the problem with Mau Mau, when now the white man decided to take ownership of the people's land to the white man's land, which was not right. So the first thing is to retract the land issues and the land laws. Let the land go back to the people, and the government should not be a custodian of a land. This then will solve all problems of tribalism. Then the next things in terms of leadership, I think it is a high time, if I was to become a prime minister of Kenya, I want to be a president, not a prime minister anyway. We don't have prime minister in Kenya. But if we attain that position, let's first of all start by curing the historical injustices.
Okay. Yes.
Let's put history on its rightful context.
Yes.
Let's do justice to the history of whatever Mau Mau, the Maasai, and everybody else who suffered. And in fact, the only thing we can do this is not even to pay much for reparation money, is to give the people back their land. Because if you give them their land, they can make wealth out of it. They can make millions and trillions of what they want out of it. So that is where the direction should move, so that in order to have a prosperous country, each person should have the dominance of land. What you call inefficiency or inadequacy is what creates competition and classes and war, where one class wants to dominate another. In the records, also what you have shown me here, that my community, of course, is the fourth community. That's not the reality. In the CIA records of the early records, Luo community was the second community, populous community. But the white men wanted to bring what you call the divide and rule, so that you divide one community to fight another community and show one community that they are superior than another community, so that there could be continuous war between the communities or tribes as the exploiters. The reality is that is a time that the mountain and the lakes where I come from and the arid lands in the far end of Kenya must come together to discuss how they progress their country, with no one feeling more superior than the other, with all feeling the sense of belonging to a country and the need to discuss the prosperous future of a country. The tribal competition cannot help us. I will tell you, for example, the leadership of this country for the last 63 years is not that I'm tribal, has been dominated by two communities, the Kikuyu communities and the Kalenjin community, now the current president, who have ruled for over the last 60 years. But even with that leadership, the community people, the tribe people are still suffering up to date. So it means that the fight for political power because of our tribe do not solve our problem. Our problem will only be solved if we embrace our unity and sit together to defend the most valuable asset God gave us, which is our land, and ensure that we have an excessive right to use our land for our own prosperity and our own future. That's what I call envision for a country and for a continent, that the white men should get out of Africa, leave the land for Africans, and let Africans use their little resources to exploit what wealth God gave them under their land, so that they can be able to prosper as a continent. Thank you.
Well said, well said, and well said. Now I'm conscious of time, and it is interesting. You both have focused on the land and control of land as in order to secure the future, and I recognise that to be a fact. But of course, in the 21st century, information is power. And what I see, of course, is the ability of Africa to respond to the needs of the young. Okay, Africa is still a young continent. And all the countries south of the Sahara seek out good.
You are not hearing, Councillor. Your audio is having problem.
Okay, I'm right here. I can hear you perfectly. Am I being heard now? Am I being heard?
Yes, you are clear.
Good. Thank you. In fact, let me move my technology away. So it is interesting to hear what you say in relation to land. Okay, but I'm pleased, though, Comrade Pigman, you've ensured that in order for the land issue to be resolved, the peoples must come together and form a consensus, yeah, an understanding and respect for each other, so they're not easily manipulated by foreign powers. And I wonder, just taking forward what you've described, I wonder if this is true. If that at the center of each of these communities, there need to be a book that records the history of those communities and records, therefore, their achievements, records their leaders, records the culture and traditions. Okay? And that the wise ones of each of those communities come together and then seeks to forge a common identity. Now, I'm a Pan-Africanist by instinct, okay? And I think you are as well. And I wonder if I may go to Comrade Mungawi, put you back on the screen. You spoke very much about the Kuri people, and quite rightly so. You are the cultural coordinator. Okay. What future do you see in close collaboration between other tribes, other ethnicities in Kenya to secure its future? Or do you see that the Kuru people should have their own space, simply live for themselves? How do you see the future? Is it collaboration, or is it a future in which the Kikuyu people seek and strive for themselves? How do you see it?
Thank you. The future of our country will not be determined by just one tribe.
Okay.
It is, as I had said earlier, the reader, even as we will have readers who are coming through the appointment of elders, because this is whereby This is not one who has a lot of money and who you give more money so that they can corrupt their positions. This will be a determination by the elders. When we come back to the original way of leadership in Africa, there is nothing like being tribal. The thing is who is capable of doing what and who is capable of doing that.
Right.
And where you are not capable, you'll be just not be given that responsibility because you are not able. When such negotiations comes over, there is nothing like being a tribalistic. It will be who is who have brought this person. Can you talk on behalf of this so that we can know from where he comes from, how he relates with you people, so that we can know the kind of a person who will be in the leadership and whom we are expecting to be a mentor also for the next generation. Like for now, as we are talking, you will agree with me, not only in the political realm, even in the church, because today the people who are reading the church, they are rebels. People have been thinking of being a leader so that he can be in control of money, he can be in control of this and that, he can dictate this and that. When such mentality is what is behind one's pushing for leadership, there is nothing that good will come in that organization or a leadership in the country. So I concur with Pidgin that we will need to come together and first for iron our differences. Where had they come from? From the root, the injustice that have been done to Mary, to Kamau, to Onyango, to and after we come and iron all this, you find finally you have nothing to compete. That when you become this, you are going to own this. No, there is not, and that one we will be able to wipe out corruption. Corruption is the one which is the key disease in all these areas we are fighting for.
And you hear, my audience, why I had so little sleep last night just listening to this great woman speak. Thank you. That is why I had very little sleep. Because of course, what you're speaking, of course, is truth. The truth. The only way forward is unity, a unity of purpose.
Yes.
Unity of purpose. I have only a few minutes left, and if I may, I'm going to Comrade Pickman and I'll return to you, Comrade McGowan, because I want you to have the last word. But let me go to Comrade Pickman. Let me just bring him over here. There we go. What would be your last message, particularly to young people, or indeed those who are unfamiliar with the history of...
Your audio is a bit frozen again, but I'll try to...
I'm sorry about that today. Not sure what's happening to you today.
Hey, we are not hearing you.
Your audio is frozen.
Really? Is it come back now? Am I returned?
Still not yet.
Yeah. I can hear you well over there. Okay. Is that better?
Okay.
Thank you. Sorry about that. Yes, as I was saying, that I want to give you the opportunity to just say your closing minute on the message to Africans both on the continent and across the world who are not familiar with the history of Kenya. Okay. What would be your last words of encouragement to inspire them to have faith that Kenya and Kenyans can find and forge a better future for all Kenyans? What would be how would you describe that?
One, it will be injustice if I end this session without demanding that the justice for Mau Mau must be served. But the government of Kenya and the colonial government must pay what is due to Mau Mau.
Okay.
And that the government of Kenya must be genuine enough not to divide the Mau Maus by creating factions within the Mau Mau, but be honest enough to pursue the repayment of the Mau Mau freedom fighters and their descendants honestly to the people. And my call to the Mau Mau community is that it is time for unity.
Yes.
The disunity of the home guards and the Mau Mau cost us a lot of lives. And we cannot continue the home guard revolutionary tactics up to date. Therefore, is a call to those who are loyalists, the home guards, who are still using the issue of Mau Mau as a benefit for their personal wealth, to rethink and come together to pursue the common unity of the people. The spirits of the freedom fighters will not leave them free, even if they eat or use the name of the freedom fighters to gain themselves wealth. To the political class from the central region where the Mau Mau community belongs to, is a challenge that I'm pushing to them, both from the national government and the county government, to recognize their heroes. They are descendants of those heroes, whether they are descendants of loyalists or whatever. Their community made us proud as a country, as a continent, and their fight inspired everybody across the board, including myself today. And therefore, is a call to the government to set aside the required amount to rehabilitate and to help the community, and is a call to the same county governments. The government must do what is in its best to redistribute the land back to the freedom fighters. They know the records. They know who own which land. They must give back that land to the people. You see, there's no way one politician can own hectares of land while the descendants of the Mau Mau are struggling in the streets and in the doyens and have nothing. Now, to the British government and to all Pan-Africans, wherever we are calling upon the solidarity to stand with the Mau Mau to push that the British government pay what is due. Both the lives they took away, both the resources they took away, both the wealth they benefited from Kenya, and every killing and every life must be paid for. It is a justice we need. Like the Marshall Plan that was there after the First, Second World War, we need a Marshall Plan for Kenya and a Marshall Plan for Africa to revive whatever was destroyed. The destructions of our civilization, the destruction of our origin must be repaired, and we need that repair now, if possible.
Interesting.
Now, the last part, as a politician and in the future of Africa, we must know that the unity of nations, not of countries, of nations, is the only solution to the progress of Africa moving forward. We cannot continue with these colonial Berlin boundaries and claim that we will benefit. The more we remain balkanized is to the benefit of a white man. The more we want to preserve our own Kenya and your own Uganda is the benefit of a white man. We've been in this experiment for the last 60 years. They continue looting our resources. They continue underdeveloping us. We are still suffering in poverty for the last 60 years. It's a time we try something new. Why don't we unite Africa of nations so that we can have one protected continent and one protected country like China or India that can stand strong, that can have its military, that can have its infrastructure, that can protect itself, than having these pockets of countries that are puppets that are being used by the West to infiltrate Africa. That is the only strength we have as a people. And let us protect our land, because if we lose our land, we lose everything we have as a people. Thank you.
Wow. Praise God. Rastafari. Wow. Anyway, let me go over to Comrade Wangari. I want to
Yes.
hear from you, Comrade. Let's hear from you. Your closing words for the future of the continent, but most certainly Kenya. Do you share the vision laid out by Comrade Friedman?
Yes, I am. And I really am grateful to whatever he said, because all what he said is ending into real unity cannot be achieved without having gone to the roots of what disunited the people.
Yes.
And having said that, in addition to what he was saying concerning Mau Mau, right now, Mau Mau, they need to be compensated. They need to be given back their land, as he has said, because without having done justice to the Mau Mau and also those who were tortured, others died in pain, others are still in pain of what they went through. This will not also go well with the nation when people are enjoying the blood and the pain of those who sacrificed their lives so that the future generation can be free from oppression, can be free from being termed as inferior in their own country, and going through a lot of torture. They went through a lot of torture. If there was time, we could talk and specify areas that they went through, which when you think about it, you not even think about being a leader in Kenya without thinking about how can we make those who went through this to brace us. That with Africans, we know there is what we call a curse. Kenya is still under a curse because you cannot tell me that people poured their own blood, uh, forfeited all what they owned, because by the time even those who survived from the forest, they came and found their rights have been abdicated and given out to the loyalists, and those who also denounced to be followers of Mau Mau and given employment and continued oppressing them. So having known all this, justice is what should be given a first priority and urgently for
Thank
and for the unity of Africa to prevail.
Thank you so much. In other words, just reparations should be paid. And it's interesting, it's a subject I will return to in the coming weeks and months. I want to thank you, both of you, for providing an insight into the social dynamics and the potential future of the country we currently know as Kenya. Okay? You provided us some historical context, some modern day influences, and a vision for the future. But I want to invite you back again because there are a number of other issues you raise in this interview which we will need to tackle. There are a few issues which I might want to talk to you, Comrade Mungari, about FGM. I might want to speak to you, Comrade Pittman, in relation to political relationship between different peoples in the country. I most certainly need to speak to you about how to develop a future for Kenya that reflects the technological advances that we're experiencing in many countries across the world. How do we ensure good education, good health services? How do we ensure there's good access to good clean water, good sanitation? How do we ensure that you can create wealth for yourself and retain that wealth for the nation? There's much for us all to discuss. But through discussion, we will inspire. And through the inspiring, we will translate those words into action. Because ultimately, success is ours for the taking. Comrades, thank you. I wish you well, and do not be strangers, because we are but one family. Praise be, praise be. Mau
Thank
Mau,
you.
Mau Mau, praise be, praise be.
Mau, mau, mau.
Oh, yes, I've got it, yes, I've got it, I've got it. Thank you. Good day
Thank
to you.
you.
Good day to you both. And may our ancestors be with you always. Blessings. Thank you. Thank you. Wow. Wasn't that something, people? Wasn't that something? Wasn't that something, huh? Wasn't that something? It's a perfect example why these shows are vitally important. A perfect example of why, when I say to you all, unity is strength, yeah? Translate these words into action, because success is ours for the taking. It is not simply words, these are not hollow words. These are practices we must incorporate as an integral part of who we are as African peoples, yeah? As human beings indeed, but as African peoples. Powerful, powerful, powerful. I'm going to keep watching and replaying this particular interview. There's much information there that I want to recrystallize in future shows. I want to thank that wise woman. That wise woman. Truly. I was up all night. I was up all night, inspired by those wise words. When she stopped reading and she just spoke from her heart, spoke from her mind, spoke from above, then she was direct. It was clear why a truly awesome, powerful human being. Until the next strong, I remain the motivator. This is where we translate our words into action, and where success is ours for the taking.
Mau Mau, land and freedom.
Mpaka kwa mudhuri, mpaka kwa kamudhuri.
Kenai nyuothe aciari, kenai nyuothe arata, kamira noka rabie na mbere, tutira soka na thutha. Kamira noka rabie na mbere, tutira soka na thutha. Natwakinya roko wanu,
The Mau Mau Uprising, 1952 to 1956.
Sisikii sauti ya Mau Mau, nataka kusikia hiyo mpaka hiyo kifungo ilishe. Mpaka tupate kamudhuri.
The Kikuyu Central Association, Kenya's largest ethnic group at 8.5 million persons. Today's podcast will recite the horrors of British colonial rule.
Wapi kamudhuri? We were waiting for the kamudhuri. We wanted to use the gun. Mpaka tupate kamudhuri, si ndio?
Natobe Kenya waikamba, kamudhuri, kakiuga nega kulambu, jeno wakiuga kaepo kaulia kaina nyena jirongi. Kasaro wakiuga kaepo kaulia kaina nyena jirongi. Natobe Kenya madioya,
Sons and daughters and widows of Mau Mau, forgive but never forget.
Hey, brother Kazi,
Population growth anticipated from 47 million today to more than 100 million by 2050. The future is bright for Kenya. The Motivator Show. The internet's most inspirational podcast. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. It's free. Press the like button and don't forget to leave a comment. Follow us on Facebook. Give us the thumbs up and share with your family and friends.
Oh, thank you, Your Excellency.
We are also on Instagram and TikTok. Follow us there too. The Motivator Show.
Mpaka kwa mudhuri, mpaka kwa kamudhuri.
translate our words into action. Success is ours for the taking.